Hi. Oh, hello there. How are you? Hey, wait, hang on. There's only 2 people on screen. What's going on? Where's the other guy? What's going on?
I got a late message from Blake saying that he will be joining us at around 8:45 this evening.
Oh, he is.
Maybe he forgot a toothbrush. I don't know. You know, they were packing bags and doing hakas today, so.
Oh, yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah, okay, so yes, we will be crossing to the Hornets' Nest. But hello, if you're watching us on the live stream here at Facebook Live, like we do, Monday to Friday, 8:30 New Zealand time. Hello to our viewers in Europe as well. It's good to have you along. But remember, too, you can listen to this if you want on Spotify, just like Joe Rogan. Basically, we're stable mates, I guess we could say now, with the Joe Rogan experience. Probably a little different in the price of things, but that's where you are. iTunes, you can get us. Spreaker, you can get us. More importantly, tell people this is like opposite of COVID. Spread it. Spread this. Like, put everyone else in your moist breath area. That nearly went really well. Hey, coming up later on, we're gonna have a chat with with a coach, with Ben Smith's coach, his upcoming coach. This is pretty cool. No, not his coach in France. His coach when he comes back to play rugby in New Zealand, which you might have heard about. We're going to go all the way to Dunedin there to speak to Dean Moeahu, who's the coach of Green Island. So we'll get into a bit of chat with him later on. But as well as that, you know what's a great day today, APN, mate.
Of course. 20th. It's the 20th, which obviously is.
It's happy birthday. It's happy birthday, Cher. Do you know what that's short for? Because, yeah, okay, so when your music radio days and I had music radio days, we both played lots of Cher music, okay?
Yes,
like
yes.
What at ZM? What was the signature Cher song that you played?
Well, when I was working, it was usually a high school hit by that stage, and Cher was doing "Do you believe in love after love after love?"
Yes.
It goes out. Yeah, but by the time I was working there, it was already a high school hit because I'd been 5 years or 6 years old. So yeah, they were throwing it back to high school days and 5 years.
I remember having "If I Could Turn Back Time." That one as well.
Yes.
Cher, I just found out today. Cher is short for Sherilyn. So there you go. Sherilyn Tuckhazen's her name. She's 74 years old today. Happy birthday to you, Cher. She's probably clinging on to some 22-year-old hunk like she has throughout her life there. But look, it's a whole lot of cool stuff going on. Now, as you know, as part of the Mark Peard Sports Network, we've got a whole family of sports podcasts and blogcasts and that are coming your way. We've got the football boys doing their stuff on Full 90. We've got some offerings from oval ball codes to tell you about too, and we've got some crickety type things coming up. I don't know, mate. We're gonna get to that Russian ping pong or not?
It's always on my list. Sorry, I'm actually just trying to send the link
it's on the list
as we speak. Yep, but it is on the list of things to do.
Okay, cool.
But have you got headlines? Because before we've absolutely lost the plot as we're missing our main man clearly after I give him so much shit, Ayshford. Yeah, so can you do some headlines? Just quickly
headlines.
too. Aiden is saying thank you, Aiden. Always love your support.
The weather,
fresh
the weather.
8 degrees in Havelock North this evening. 8 degrees. What's Bryce got? Very cold in the Hutt Valley tonight. Back to 0 degrees again. Holy weather chat.
Serious?
Weather chat. Weather chat.
Weather chat. Weather chat. Hang on, here's some news headlines for you then. Thank you. In your weather, Tom Brady has come out with a range of TB12 immunity supplements. He's selling them right now in America for $45 a bottle in the middle of this COVID crisis. Actually, shame on you. Shame on you, Tom Brady. That is a shitty thing to do. These are super immunity pills, apparently, according to TB12. The Mitre 10 Cup 2020 is it's kind of looking close to impossible now. 8 unions have said, yep, we're in. 7 unions have said it's going to be really hard to commit because we just can't afford to pay the players. So that's where you are. So there's your answer probably as to why they went straight away with Super Rugby.
Right.
Because at least they knew they had these guys, and this might have been the trouble anyway. So hopefully they can work that one out a bit. And also I saw on the news today, the UK and Europe have just made it illegal to manufacture or sell menthol cigarettes. So
really?
And it's being someone who's never a cigarette smoker, is a menthol ciggy regarded as like an Earl Grey, like an up one, or is it like if you buy some of that bad coffee and they put that caramel flavour into it to try and hide it? Like, where does it sit on the flavour?
I was a pack a day from the age of 13, so I recently moved to vape.
Yes.
which
You're
is
doing very well.
Doing very well. Am I? I don't know. I'm just doing something else really rather than smoking. But the menthol cigarette's a strange one, Nate, and I'm glad you brought this up. As a connoisseur of cigarettes, I can tell you that when you're in for a big heater and someone hands you a menthol and that's all you've got, it's a real disappointment if you're not a menthol smoker.
Okay.
They're very weak. They're minty. They're kind of like a carnival cigarette, I'd like to call it, for a special occasion. But there were people who I used to know who smoked quite heavily as well that were full menthol smokers. So that was their weapon of choice. But man, I just liked a dirty, big Marlboro red heater when I was ready to roll. I didn't want any menthol noise. Yeah,
that was your lung dart. Because I think so. That to me then sounds. It's almost a bit like when you go to Nana's house or some of that, and you get a cup of tea and you drink it, and you're like, oh god, it's Earl Grey. Is it a bit like that?
Well,
it surprised you. You think it's tea, but it's a bit bergamot.
Yeah, see, but I'm a fan of Earl Grey over just normal tea. So
you've become okay, right. So well, then the other way around.
That's the other way around. Yeah, where you go, yeah, but you're smoking a menthol because they tend to. Those heaters are always white. They're always the white ones, and and you get a scenty, like a weird, like someone. I don't know if you've got an old pack of chewing gum that hasn't got any chewing gum in it, but you've left it in the bottom of your bag, and you pull it out, and then it still smells that minty. It's got that kind of odd minty smell to it. No, I'm glad that they're stopping making them. Nate, I've got a couple of headlines that I want to bring to the party as well.
Okay, go.
The one that did you hear about the Premier League? They've done some testing, because they've obviously got the idea that they want to get back up and running again, which is fair enough. Premier League have released a statement saying that the 740 players, club staff were tested for COVID-19 on Sunday and Monday. 6 positive tests have been confirmed. 6.
Oh. Out of 740, man. Well, they can't play then.
748. 748.
Okay. So they've had 6. Jeepers. All right,
yeah. So, but they're pretty positive about that. They thought it would be worse. So, whether they can play or not is another thing. But I think this was good news that came out of the States as well this morning. California, New York, Texas give the all clear for pro sports to resume next month. So they're pretty certain that they'll be up and running with no crowds. But that would mean that the NFL would roll through and possibly the NBA would get up and running again. Which, remember, we're still waiting for the commissioner, Adam Silver, to give the all clear. He said, give me 2 to 4 weeks to decide whether the NBA will be back up and running this season or we're going to call that season off.
Man, I'm just thinking that because, so the UFC, when they came back, they had a positive test. Remember Jacare Souza, he tested positive. And then, but it wasn't entirely surprising that the UFC went ahead because they're probably a little more, like riding the tiger into the sun than anybody else, right? So I kind of count them out with it. But man, with the way that COVID-19 has spread through UK with their terrible response to it in the first place, they've smartened up a little now. There's no way that can be safe to be in one of those team training environments. If you've got people that are positive, they've just got to be completely cut out. And if let's just say it's someone from Liverpool, right? Then everybody in Liverpool now has to be tested because of that. That's the way that bubbles worked here in New Zealand. My wife ended up having that thing shoved up her nose because you know what I mean. You end up with a bubble of contact, and
mutual friend of ours, Vaughan.
Be that.
Vaughan Smith, mutual friend of ours, he's had it done, and I was watching it on TV, and this is just me being negative, but I was like, oh, look at them, they just sort of one big jab into the head, like and it goes in, and they're like, and they pull it out. I watched Vaughan's video, and the lady who did it was like, she got it right up there, like it went real deep, and then she 1, 2, turning it for 10 turns.
That's what Kelly was saying. yeah.
And Vaughan, you could just see his life sort of draining out of his eyes as it was happening. He was like, and then he was talking in a real weird way, like, that was really, like knowing he is a public figure and can't be ragging on it by going, I'm never doing that again. That was the sorest thing I've ever had happen.
Exactly. So
but it was like, oh, goodness me.
Actually, you're right. Once we're clear of this, the amount of people that will go, actually, I just wanted to swear and say don't do that. But then I knew that would put people off, so I had to go, it's a bit like, when you get injections in front of your kids and you're like, see?
Yeah.
It's good.
So we're waiting on Aysh to call in, which is cool. We've also got Dean, who's obviously the premier coach of Green Island down in Dunners, who will be in charge of Ben Smith this season. Bender. The way I was thinking about this, Nato, when I was setting it up, I sat there and thought, man, what do you do with Ben Smith, the Ben Smith, coming to your club rugby team? Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you say to him, mate? Can you run the cutter. Where do you want to go? That's pretty much all you can do, right? You can't coach him because he knows everything and anything, and he'd probably be really nice to you and would want to be coached, but it's Ben Smith.
He would be the most polite teller of no than you've ever seen, eh? Oh yeah, we could maybe try that. Yeah. I'm actually just going to do this, but next game we should do that. I reckon what Ben Smith should test him and show him, go, I'd like to play flanker, please. Yes. That's where I want to play. Do that.
We're going to jump to Aaron Walsh there, but Dean's actually called through already. So should we just bring him straight in and we'll have a chat?
Oh yeah,
let's
do that. Let's do that. Okay.
Okay. Right. Here he is. Bring him in. Ask him what he is going to do. What is he going to do with Ben Smith?
Yes.
I reckon straight out there, get his fitness up, get him doing those Broncos.
Yeah, get him running.
Test him out.
Yeah, true.
Away. All right, young fella, running away.
That's a good point.
Can you hear us, Dean?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, top man. Have you worked out where your camera is yet? That's always that's the next of the intelligence test.
Yeah, we're trying to get that up and running.
Have it prodded. Don't worry, Sean Johnson spent 20 minutes with us without it going and thought it was broken until he actually found there's a little button right next to it that says video. There we go.
There he is. Hey, awesome.
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you, mate. How are you? Thank you for coming on the show.
Nah, no worries, mate. No worries. Not too bad, eh?
Yeah, we were just sitting here scratching our heads, Dean, going, what the fuck do you say to Ben Smith when he rolls up? Like, what do you how do you utilise such a star, a man who's been here and done everything? What you should
do, he's a good bugger, eh? Like, anyone that knows Ben, great family man, very down to earth, very humble sort of character, and he's one of those guys that just he fits into any situation. So it's a pretty easy one, really.
Have you thought over it in your head? Like, have you gone, all right, so I've got this idea as how I want to utilise him?
Yeah, like, see, he gave me a ring from France in lockdown, and we sort of talked through, what the scenario would be when he's coming back, and obviously Katie was quite keen to get back home to the safety of NZ, and it was probably pretty nice because Annabelle just started wee girl just started school on Monday, so when he rang, I looked at those scenarios coming back in, and what's going to be best for Ben Smith and what's going to be best for all those young boys with our group. And the good thing for Ben is, like, obviously he shoots away in October to head to Japan, everything going well. But for Ben just to come back and be Ben Smith, the rugby player, get alongside the boys, train, and be that professional rugby player that these young guys can sort of mould themselves around, was always going to be the best fit.
But was there any thought that, like, the Highlanders might go, oh, hey, since you've got him, can we borrow him? Or Otago? Or is it something to do with his contracting with his Japanese and French clubs and that?
It's quite a tough one because they've got obviously this big insurance bands that go with it, and for Ben, he won't play any games for us. He'll just be Ben Smith, the rugby player that trains and does his thing. Because if you get injured, then that paycheck sort of, I suppose, would tend to disappear, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, it might be 10 minutes. 10 minutes where I don't know. I don't know if he's still got that competitive fire and where you might not be able to keep him off. You know what I mean? Like, he'll just be like.
And that's it. Like, I know anyone that loves sport would have been watching the Jordan story. Yeah. And he's very same, mate. He is so competitive, and doesn't matter what it is, he'll compete. So yeah, once he gets alongside the boys and he starts training with them, then I can see that fire starting to burn.
So you can do some. Oh, sorry, mate. So you can do some learning off him. Like, right, these are some. For you as a coach, this would be great fun. Is it like what would you most like to be able to pick up? Like some drills or what sort of thing you most like to?
So we brought him in before he went away to France to do a little bit of skill set with the boys as well. But just his knowledge, his rugby brain is superb, and it's those wee finer things of skill set. We've got a pretty good young back three, or actually back six. We've got some young guys that are coming through as well. They just soak up some of the knowledge, and those wee skill set things that he'll be able to do with them is going to be absolutely crucial, especially for their development.
Mate, can you give us a little? We're all from different regions. Obviously, I'm a Poverty Bay boy, so I know what I could give you a rundown on what Ngātapa Rugby Club was like, the club that I grew up playing for. Nato's a Hawke's Bay boy. What was your club, Nate? What was your local?
Tamatea.
Oh, Tamatea. Oh, nice. What is Green Island? What is the? Tell us a little bit about the club. Tell us. Let us in on the secrets.
Yeah, we're a little bit. We're about 5 minutes outside of the main centre. It's always been a club that's sort of been hard pressed to get players come over the hill. The students tend to like to walk to closer clubs to them. You understand that?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, not too far from their flats, but to get them over the hill has always been a hard thing. We're very much a heavily dominated family club, so we've got near on 300 kids, which is quite big for Dunedin in its own right. And our club's pretty much every Saturday night is a giant daycare. There tends to be more kids in the club than there are parents. But yeah, so we put a real big emphasis on whānau and family. And you know, for Ben, he's at that stage now where he's got a young family. Annabelle has been playing in the junior ranks as well, and Baki Popalihi, his kids are playing in the same team as Bender's kids. So, you know, that's what we really sort of try and really mould ourselves on as whānau family, and being together. We've been a club of battlers, and you'll hear Ben say that he's a battler, comes from a battler club and a battler province and a battler franchise, being the Landers. So over the last sort of 5 years, we've sort of managed to change that tide. And last year, our premier team went to a semi-final the first time in 20 years. So yeah, it's been quite a good big resurgence.
Hey, you know, you mentioned there about the club turning into a daycare, and of course, I remember, you know, when we were at Tamatea in the 80s, it was the place that was, you know, what a rugby club was back then. People on lean-tos and beers and stuff, right? And the kids, you just run around the back, and that. Now, though, I guess because people are saying, oh, community sports are hard to keep going. So that sort of thing, though, like when you said that, I thought, man, I bet that actually does help tie the families in being that sort of family-friendly thing, right? Because to survive now, it's hard for clubs.
Oh, hugely. Well, we're running 25 teams. It's probably sitting about the same, really close to the same numbers as what we had last year, because they've split some of the junior teams up. Obviously, in that under 10s grade where they normally go to full field, it's staying at half field. So that's where the 25, but we'll still increase numbers. And again, we put a real big emphasis on our premier boys being role models as well. So when there's anything happening within our junior club, they're out on Saturdays watching our juniors play. There's massive sevens tournament down here where the whole team gives up their holiday over Queen's birthday to go and watch all the kids play, and they spread themselves around. And the real big thing for our premier boys is if parents see you guys being dickheads in the club, then that's the betrayal that you're always seen as. So let's make sure we get out and we learn kids' names. Hey, Johnny, how'd you get on today? You know, and for them, you're going to be the closest thing to All Blacks. And these young men, they really, really strive with it, and they take that born and run with it, which is a great thing. And that helps with that whānau.
That's so true. Like when I grew up, people go, oh, "Who's your rugby hero?" And I was like, "Bill Tapo." Like who? And I was like, "He was the prop for Tamatea, and he was awesome. Thank you very much." So you know, but it's like that, right? It ties you to it, and you get in. Like, what about you know, like with this sort of government rescue package of stuff? Can you just talk us through where it goes for you guys surviving financially, and if there's any, you know, like do you guys? I mean, I guess everyone would need some of that money, but like surviving financially for the club. That sounds like you've got a lot of teams.
Yeah, they have, but like we run that sort of mantra of for our guys, like us as coaches, we don't take any sort of cash and settlement. Everything that comes into the club goes out to the players of the player base. So we make sure we resource our things within, if it be kit, technology, and making sure our kit is like we're well presented through the whole club. So it's about, again, where we say always whānau, it's about how much we can share out to everyone and not just the small minority get. And that's where we're actually sitting as a club. They're actually sitting in a pretty good pocket because our sponsors are really good, really loyal, again, because all that mentoring and the good positive work that our Premier boys do. It's really easy to keep people enticed to staying with Green Island. So from a financial side of it as well, the club, they hire the club out for events, and they've just done a massive upgrade on the club. So as a venue, we're really sellable, you know.
Is that are you wearing some Green Island kit there? Is it? Yes. Can you bring the logo up to the screen, or are you on a PC that won't be able to move? Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, the Grizzlies. That looks great, eh? I was wondering how close.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. And what a bonus! I mean, Bender coming back is a bonus. It's a chance for you guys to, I mean, for people like us to go, oh wow, where is this club, and take notice. The colour scheme is the one that gets me. Any particular reason? Do you know why it was you went with the yellow and green? I love it. I think it's a great combo. I'm trying to work out what the local club.
It's got green in the summer, right? It's Green Island. That's what I went with. The island, I don't know why it's yellow.
Yeah. There's a wee island just off the coast, close to where we live. That's a wee green island that they've sort of mirrored it off. But wherever the colours come from,
Someone went, oh yeah, that'll loop.
Is Patrick Osborne still playing for Green Island? That's a question from Will Miller, who's watching the stream at the moment. It was Osborne. Is he one of your boys?
One of yours too.
He had a wee run last year, eh? He's
he's
a great man on and off the field, and especially off the field. He's definitely a character. Definitely a character.
Oh, that's
last year the boys always we like to do we have a kai on a Thursday after training, and one of the boys brought in a big pot of fish heads. So half eat, the rest of it went back to Paddy's flat. So
he eats well then. I like that. I've always thought that that's a missing kind of, I guess, part of this whole rugby structure here in New Zealand is we've got our All Blacks, which is clearly our biggest focus. Then it goes down to the Super Rugby teams, but there's no connection between, we kind of understand who played for whom when they get to the All Blacks, whether they were a Highlander or they're a Hurricane or a Crusader. But what I think's really missing is that filter in from what club each of these Super Rugby players are playing for, even if they wear the socks of the club. And then, even further down, what sort of feeder schools, what high schools feeder into each club kind of thing would be such a massive connection that we could, when they make All Blacks, then you could say, refer to them back to the clubs, which should just keep giving you guys limelight. That's always been something I think's missing.
Like for us, another like Jackson Himmapo, he came down to us as an 18-year-old and stayed with us all the way through, and we sort of use him and Ben as being two guys that are. Ben was a different sort of story the way he went through, but Jackson's one is sort of a little bit more unique because he was that battler, that warrior that got knocked down. So he went back and he honed his skills at club rugby. Then he went back into the Landers until his opportunity came, and then after that Lions game, the rest is history.
Yeah. So
the guys like him, like that mantra of having a warrior. If you look at a Jackson, one guy that keeps sharpening his axe to get his way up to that next level, he used club rugby as that avenue. So perfect.
Yeah. No, I think that could be such a big focus. I mean, especially with the COVID-19 almost meltdown of rugby, it's good to kind of find these ways that we can pick the club game back up and make sure that it's just as important as and more important than it's ever been. Because, like you say, it plays an essential role for our boys when they need sharpening, or as they're growing up through the ranks.
What is the fastest Bronco time by Green Island?
Yeah, good question.
Have you got a 4:12 in there?
There's been a bit of chat about that. It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
Quite keen to give it a wee nudge on Saturday. So they've been out. So we can't do any rugby trainings at the moment. So our trainers into boot camps. So we've got boot camps running at the moment for the boys, and they've got their 2 metre spacing and their hand sanitising. They're doing all the protocols, which is real good. And then they're like let's hit this Bronco. Let's have a crack at it. So yeah.
Will you take part in it? Because you look fit enough. I mean, you.
Bender just gives me crap every time we try to do stuff. Go on, you got to do it. But hey, you never know.
You never know. What's the general scene, the club scene like in Dunedin? Like, is it strong? Like, who's the notorious team that everyone's trying to knock off and stuff? Because I don't know my Otago rugby at all in terms of regional stuff. Yep. I know you've got the Hawks, because my stepson went down and played for the Hawks for a little bit before he took off to Japan. But other than that, I wouldn't know many of the things. So yeah, what's the story?
Yeah, so the club scene's actually, the games are a lot tighter now. So our background, 6 years ago now, we were coming off over 100-point hidings. So that's the gap's really changed now. Like managed to flip that switch. So the big ones are the Hawks. They're right at the top. Varsity are the other one, and Tyree are probably the big three that have been pretty dominant. Southern sort of hover around in there at the moment. And then we're snaking our way in the back door.
The Grizzlies sneaking. The Grizzlies. Can you say there's the Hawks and can you give us the names? I always love the logos. What the animals that go with them. So you've got the Hawks.
Harbour Hawks.
Yeah.
Harbour Hawks.
The Varsity Bookworms.
Bookworms.
Yep. Fantastic.
Yeah, you got the Tyree Eels, Slippery Eels.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've got the Alhambra Union Broncos. You got the Dunedin Sharks.
Nice. Yes, Sharks. I've got a young one of my stepson's friends plays in their young team, their Colts team. Yeah.
And we've got the old Southern Magpies.
Oh, Nate.
Love a magpie.
Loves a magpie, Hawke's Bay. Yeah.
Up on the hill, we've got the Zingaree Dragons.
The Dragons? Really? Are they a new club? Have they been around?
Zingaree Richmond. But they used to be Zingaree Richmond, is it?
Yeah.
Yep,
that's it.
Wow, very cool, very cool. All right, Dean, well, we won't hold you up too much longer, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And giving us a history lesson on the Dunedin club game and also how you're going to utilise Bender. And we're really happy to have had you on and you've been able to explain it, so thank you.
So just if when we want to come down and watch a game of you guys play, where are we headed to?
Yes.
Where do we find you?
Out at Miller Park in Green Island.
Beauty. That's where we are.
Hey, driving on the motorway, you can't miss it. You'll see it.
Top
Good
man.
stuff. Hey, thanks, Dean. There we go. Choice.
Good night. Later.
There we go. You know, man, that makes me feel good about the state of club rugby. That is great to hear.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that they've got that many teams in there, because I guess sometimes it sort of paints a picture of a lot of clubs around New Zealand, and I know they're not in as healthy a situation. But it just makes you think about how it's what do you call it? It's good that they're surviving. It's good that they've got a lot of teams involved there too. Oh, and there he is, Blake Ayshford.
Look at this schmuck rolling in late. Look at him.
There he is.
Oh,
great
guys,
here,
I've got the feet up on my bed, my new desk. Mate, this is amazing.
Is this the new room? Is this the new room?
This is the new room.
Take us on a tour. Take us on a tour, mate. Take us on a tour.
Very smugly happy with this. Oh. Okay. Now, hang on. Now, wait. Paint the picture. Where are we right now? You're not in Tamworth.
No, we're in Terrigal. So it's on the Central Coast. So it's a bit flashy. We've got the beach right there, but you can't obviously see. You have to ring me during the day.
Right.
On the pen. Hang on, wait. Look what this can do.
Oh, you got a curtain.
Oh.
What did it do? It went up. Is that
It went
okay?
It's got working curtains.
Nice. Yeah.
And there's the. Don't know if you can see. Oh shit! It's raining. Fuck. It's raining. So I didn't know it was raining.
Okay.
It wasn't raining 2 minutes ago. Sure. That's the bed.
There it is.
Yep.
It's flash.
But wait till you see this, guys.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
Is that all yours?
It's all just you. Who's in there?
So this one, obviously, we can go with a couple other people.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets weird.
Okay.
So we can room with people. We can go to training and hop on the bus with people, but we still can't go in each other's rooms.
Okay.
So I can't enter another apartment.
Okay, but
you can enter this communal space in the middle there, or do you have to go later?
No.
Blake is coming in.
No, so this one, safe. So that apartment, all that there is sweet.
Yeah.
So me and the two other boys that are here, is fine. Like we can mix and mingle among us, but we can't walk into someone else's apartment.
Oh, right. Expanded bubble.
Yeah, but we hop on the bus with them to go to training and do stuff.
It makes very little sense. It's like
it's better.
Yeah, I mean you've definitely stepped up as a stage.
Yeah, it's better, right? This is good. You're around people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that it's like someone's thought out the rules but hasn't thought it out well and just said, "They're the rules, go do it." And you're like, "Okay, but we're not doing." But this doesn't quite make sense. So who are the other two dudes that you get to share the kitchen with?
So one is who works on Warriors TV with me. He's Francis Ledger. He used to play Warriors 20s. He's a cameraman.
Massive fan of Francis Ledger.
Yeah. And David Solomona. So he's here for welfare. I don't know too many people remember David Solomona.
Yeah. Yes, remember David Solomona.
Yeah. So he just walked in and he's just gone for dinner. So, yeah.
That's incredible.
So it's cool. But I told you it got weirder. And Mark, you're right, because people do think out rules and I don't really understand it. So we go to dinner. There's dirty zone and clean zone. So from your apartment until you get to the reception front door is the dirty zone. You must have a pair of shoes that you wear or you wear no shoes. When you go from the dirty zone and you go into the clean zone, you must transfer shoes or put on some shoes, vice versa, coming back.
Do they have shoes waiting there for you to put on?
No, so you have to figure that out yourself.
So hang on a sec. So if you were bringing clean shoes to take to the clean area, you would have to wear bare feet down there, then put the clean shoes on to go in. But they're still shoes that you've been holding, so they're technically still dirty shoes.
And yes, also I didn't know coronavirus doesn't attach to your shirt or your clothes or any of that. So it just goes to your shoes.
Love shoes, mate.
Around there. So yeah. So we don't have to wear face masks. Yeah.
Has someone just said, like, Blake, in all honesty, has someone just said, okay, that's fucking stupid. Come on, let's all be normal. Everyone's
saying it, but it's like, well, like the NRL's just made the rules and just sent it out, and it's like you can go back and say something, but what pull do I have for starters?
Yeah, true.
I can't even be here.
Yeah.
So we see when you said that it was like the NRL have a dirty zone in the hotel. I thought that's where Julian O'Neill was out in the hallway or something, you know.
Oh, nice.
Hey, so hang on, mate. I'm gonna guess how you're getting around this, Pete. I want you to guess it too, right? So I reckon that what Blake does is that Blake wears socks, and then he has like a pair of like slides, like some Adidas and Nike slides. Does those, wears those down to dinner, and then you just leave those, and then you walk in your socks. That's what I think Blake's doing. What's your guess on Blake's approach, mate? What are you reckoning?
I can't put myself in Blake's head. All I can think of what I would do, but I would do something very similar to that, and I'm hoping Blake's doing what I'm doing. I'm taking the little plastic covered slippers that they have in the wardrobe next to the robe. I'm walking them down in my scuffs. I leave my scuffs at the door. I put my little slippers on, and then I take those little slippers off, put my scuffs on to walk back out. That's how I do it.
Yeah, well, we can't do that because these are apartments. So some people actually own some of the apartments. So it's not like a hotel where so we missed that. But my slides broke at the last hotel. So at the moment, I hate shoes as well. Like I hate shoes, and so I walked down bare feet and then put on my Chuck Taylors with no socks on, and wore them for about 3 minutes at dinner while I rushed dinner so I can come up here and talk to you, lovely.
Let's go.
What a good man. I would have thought you took a little chicken bone, put it in your pocket too, to just gnaw on as you're waiting.
That's a bread roll.
Oh, bread roll.
Lots of butter.
Mate, James Taitamu has messaged in saying, didn't see Blake doing the farewell haka today. Where were you? I looked through the photo and the videos. I couldn't see you anywhere.
Filming.
You were filming.
Oh, you filmed, okay.
Yeah.
I saw Adam Kieran. I mean, he wasn't doing it, but he was on his crutches. He was there. He was there.
It was funny because the Aussie boys, like, I got in trouble before because apparently, my wife told me that when you do the haka, if you don't know it, but you're a part of the group, you stand behind them. Is that right? Yeah. So before I just stood to the side. So I told the Aussie boys, okay, this is what you do, all right? You stand at the back. When they were doing all the presentations, they stood at the front. And one of the boys leading it, Adam Pompey, goes, can you hold this to Carl Lawton? And as soon as Carl Lawton grabbed it, he just busted it out. And all the boys shit themselves and just took it off the back. Paul Keegan was bloody on the crutches back.
It's a nerve-wracking time too for any male when the group is doing the haka and you might not know this haka that they're doing. To have to move to the back, it's a bit of a humiliator. Do you know what I mean? Like you kind of feel like the biggest tit because you're sitting right. If you're taller, you're kind of just standing there and everyone else is going for it, and you're like, fuck, damn it, I didn't get a chance to get to the back.
It was good though. There was a bit of a piss take. There's some facials going out. I don't know if you've zoomed up on any of the photos. Yeah. They got the cameras got them at some real bad moments for the boys. So
that's good.
They're going pretty hard.
Mate, we're going to miss a season of Pukana Cam. We need to make sure that the Pukana faces are showing.
But we did say that last night on the show. We should do the haka.
There it was.
I don't know if they were already doing it or it's because I mentioned about two or three of the boys to do it.
Wrong. So Blake, as a breaking journalist,
that Blake Ayshford was behind this.
That's right. As a breaking journalist, you need to claim everything you can, and that you will suggest that it was you say it was my suggestion to the lads. Look, as a I guess a display of our appreciation for you guys in Tamworth. Let's rip out a haka, eh? I won't be taking part. I've got the GoPro. Got to be at the front. So you guys, you're cool with that?
You just go for it,
and you just go with it, and no one even questions it.
Yep.
I like that. I like that. How's the weather in there, mate? Other than rain, is it warm? We've been doing our weather report, and there's plenty of people who have messaged in.
I've seen some of those. I was watching the show before. No, it just started raining, so it's been good. Otherwise, 6-hour bus ride. My back is stuffed. I have to fix that up. But no, it was sunny all the way up. Now it's pissing down rain. So
on the trams.
On the tram? Trams. No. Just some lighter stuff, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark, mate, your answer for everything is the trams. It's
the
like,
trams, man.
Mark is like the slightest. Oh, got an ache. Oh, trams.
Hit the trams. Any excuse, man.
That's
it just
a
mellows
slight sign of
everything
addiction,
out.
mate.
What's
Yeah,
that?
mate, you be careful.
It's a slight sign of that's a sign of addiction, I think.
Well, mate, I don't take them, but if I did have them, by God, they'd be going pretty quick. Possibly, but you know the trams. Have you got connections with the doctor? Who's the doctor over there at the moment?
I may do.
That's all right. That's all I need to know.
Very long injury list. So yeah, she's a new doctor, Colleen. So I'll be having a chat to her.
Yeah.
I already sent her a message, and she's going to some tomorrow.
Good.
While I got you here, good news. Adam Keegren, no ACL. So
Good.
Very good news for the boys. So we're looking still surgery and looking for maybe about 6 to 10 weeks or 8 to 10 weeks. But ACL is obviously the season. So, mate, that's massive news. Come in with a smile today, so I was happy.
Did you see the team that could play for the Warriors, but the added in extras of
the guys going, oh yeah, I'll put my hand up.
Yeah,
Gallen.
Mate,
How do we feel about Gallen in a Warriors shirt? Sorry, that to me is that was probably the toughest of them all, because I've never enjoyed Paul Gallen as a fan watching the game. I've never enjoyed. He's a grub. Paul, if you're watching, you're a fucking grub. I don't want you in a Warriors top, but I'll have you in a Warriors top. Like that's how I feel about it.
Great welcome.
To me, that's the only one that makes sense.
Oh, really?
That's the only one that makes sense. Like, so you go Billy Slater, sort of a waste on the wing, and Roger's the best player in the world at the moment, Golden Boot. So do you replace someone for a Golden Boot? No. Sam Thaiday wasn't doing his best work at the later part of his career. Paul Gallen was still playing about 60 minutes, and I reckon he's still fit and could go for the boys. So I would be sending a SOS to Paul Gallen and saying, Gal, come on, mate, put on the jersey. He said he'd play for free.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think there's anyone, actually, the more I look at it, in Australia, no one is better for injecting themselves into the news than Paul Gallen. He's amazing. Mike Tyson's out of retirement. Hey, I'm not turning down fighting him. You know, like UFC fight. I wouldn't say no to that. And that's what he does. He's so good at that. Hey,
what? The Warriors are short on players. I'm your man. Yeah, I like that.
I wouldn't turn it down. It's always, and he probably rings during those. Hey, you see that story about the Russian ping pong? Yeah, I'm not ruling myself out. Okay, that's very good.
Now you missed last night's show, didn't you, Blake? Or did you miss us talking?
I got most of it, and then I ended with the let us come to the draft and be the people on the panel.
Right. You had to go. That's right. You had to go to the debriefing, mate. It was that interview got around. It got around quite a few people. That podcast itself got downloaded a shitload, and there's some real.
I was off?
No. I think it was just simply because we actually hit the mark on sort of like the topic, which is not really our thing. Nice. It's not really our cup of tea. Like, we're interested in the pop sports culture. We're interested in talking to the guy who's going to be in charge of Bender. We're interested in talking, we don't want to talk to Bender. He's got plenty of people who want to talk to him, and he's hard to get a hold of. So we'll go for his coach. But yeah, it was interesting that there's a lot of people humming about this NBL starting, and the idea that a draft is, it's got a lot of people's minds animated and going, oh yeah, I'll have a sniff of that. Well, there's nothing else on.
Like, I know we said last night on the show that we're thinking this might be a one-off thing. I think it could be something that entices people to come out and like really get behind it. Because personally, I haven't watched any of that league. Like I watched NBL, and that's about it. But if this is going to be like, I'll be watching the draft, 100%. I'll be watching the draft. I'll be watching the trade deadline after it was 3 days after.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting stuff to have it in New Zealand, not just the NBA draft. You know what I mean?
It makes me want to learn our players better.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to learn who's going to be in the draft. I want to know about them, where they came from, what's their experience and stuff like that. But imagine this. Let's say that they keep the rosters that they've got. They draft them up and then they sign them up properly. Imagine just holding a combine every year and having a list of players who have made themselves available for the NBL that then the teams can do a draft, not necessarily like for their roster, but for people who they want involved in their team. So, for instance, let's say there's 30 people that they put through a combine. You register your name and you're like, oh man, Bender's back from rugby over in France. He's put himself forward for the NBL draft, and he's going to take part in the combine and see how he stacks up, numbers, things like that. And if a team is interested in him, they'll bring him onto the roster. It doesn't necessarily have to be like we're picking a whole new franchise draft and everyone goes into a whole big melting pot, but it could be people who are putting their name through and who are keen to play in the NBL.
Well, do you two think that, I said, what makes it eligible, the draft? How do you get eligible? And he said, anyone's eligible. You put your name forward.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we're going to hear? Do you reckon we're going to hear one person just get selected? And we obviously we don't know a lot of them, but some like Joe Blow who's just come off the street and just gone, hey,
I hope so.
Yes.
I so hope so.
Killed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That'd be great.
That'd be
Can
so
you imagine
good.
good story.
Whoever that is will be the new Winks. Everyone will be like, yeah, I want that. I want to cheer for that, whoever the heck that is.
Yeah.
It's just like novelty, like when Taco Fall gets on the court and everyone just starts cheering and when he gets the ball, it'll be that guy.
Shall we keep our theme running with the court there, Nato? And of course we got Aaron Walsh, who I had a chat with earlier this morning. Aaron Walsh, of course, is a mental skills coach for, I think at the moment he's doing it with the Chiefs, the Aces. I think he's also doing High Performance New Zealand. There's a whole lot of, and he goes over to Major League Baseball and works with the players, all about the mental skills sides of sport. And he's also doing what he's calling the Head Noise podcast, which is basically we have an athlete that we see going out there and performing in front of us. His first person he'll be talking to when we'll release the podcast tomorrow morning, Thursday morning? Is it Thursday morning tomorrow? Lost track. Thursday morning.
Yes.
You'll be able to download it and listen to it on your car on the way to work. It's fascinating. Basically, it's Lockie Ferguson, our fast bowler, and he peels Lockie Ferguson's, the outside skin off Lockie's brain out of it and just works out what it is that makes him tick, the types of things that have sort of clogged up in his head, what are the things that he's scared of, all those kinds of stuff. It's a fascinating listen, especially, and it's good for you as just as a dude or a girl who's listening. You can take tips from it. It's going to be an amazing series, of course. Lockie Ferguson first, but I wanted to utilise his brain set and skill sets to break down a bit of the old NBA, because of course Michael Jordan, the Last Dance documentary has been playing on our TVs now. The whole series is gone. Just that aspect that Michael Jordan was such an arsehole to some of his teammates, and people seem to just be apologetic about how much of an arsehole he was because, well, he had to be.
This is great.
That's what makes you the GOAT, a champion.
Leadership.
And Walsh said to me, he was like, man, I don't think we should be apologetic for people who have terrible attitudes and aren't nice to teammates simply because of the result. So don't read the result and go, oh, yep, he had to get there. He had to be that to get here. You can get to greatness as well without having to be that way. So I did this interview with him this morning, so you guys can, I'll share it on the screen so you guys can watch it as well.
It's like a little morsel, tasty morsel.
A tasty morsel and a bit of a tease for what's going to be going on with his podcasts. So here we go. All right, Aaron. So, mate, we've had some cool conversations with you about the mental aspects of sport, and Michael Jordan is trending right now after the Last Dance documentary on ESPN. Interested to hear from you, your thoughts on his mentality and how he went about becoming one of the most notorious, greatest basketball players of all time.
Yeah, such an interesting conversation because, my thoughts are we start at the wrong place with the conversation. It seems to me a lot of people are starting with a place he won, so this is fine. So it's a big jump. It's a big jump because, we're saying all that behaviour, all of that, if we want to use the term bullying, it's a, PC word and quite relevant in modern sport. But if we want to use the intensity, if we want to use players not feeling safe or comfortable, all of those sort of things, we make the assumption, well, all of that must have been fine. All of that just was part of, the way he operated. And they won. So, if we'd looked at it and gone, okay, if they had lost, and this is where our danger with sports, right? Outcome-driven assumption. If they had lost, would we have felt different about Jordan? And would the narrative have been, Jordan was a bully, never got his team over the line. And I think I wrote something the other day on LinkedIn about this. Is, for every Michael Jordan, what we've got to remember is Derek Jeter. And, equally as successful, arguably, at the top of his game, 5 World Series, 14-time All-Star, absolute first vote ballot Hall of Famer, not even a question mark. And his reputation was rookies would come in, he'd want to find out about their life. He'd treat them with massive respect. Everyone around him got better because of his positivity, his encouragement. So, we've got these wicked contrasts, haven't we, around leadership style. And I think the conclusion at the end of the day is that the great leaders understand what is the best way to get the best out of the people that they're with.
And so if we looked, we learned a lot from the Michael Jordan documentary. He wasn't, necessarily a great leader in terms of, or a great teammate is probably the best way of putting it. He wasn't necessarily the best teammate. And almost through the documentary, you realise just how selfish he kind of looked and was. You know, he would put the rest of his teams on skates and be like, if you don't do what I want you to do, you're out of here. It's as easy as that. You know, I will see you walk out that door. And that is an interesting comparison. But what about in a bring it more to a normal person's lifestyle? Would that kind of, would we be as accepting, I guess, in an everyday job, a Michael Jordan kind of attitude?
No, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. Like, if we look at like some of the key anchors of what make people function well on teams, you think about a couple. Number one is belonging. You know, like our whole work around getting teams to be at their best, a lot of it has to revolve around belonging. You belong here, there's a place for you. And if you feel like there's a place for you here, you're gonna put in. You're gonna get the best out of those people. And the second thing, all the research, mate, is like it's really hard for Kiwis to accept this, but it's undeniable around positivity. And so there's a professor out of Penn State, Seligman, who's done some amazing work, who basically has said, if you feed people with what they're doing well versus what they're not doing well, your performance you'll get out of them is going to go through the roof. But if you're focusing on what they're not doing well versus, you know, and not really talking about what they're doing well. And I think we got this sort of Kiwi thing at times where, hey, mate, that was great, but.
Yeah.
Real quick to go over the positives and real intense around the negatives. And I found even at home as a parent, if I want my kids' behavior to change, it's not through keep on remind them of what they're not doing well. It's noticing and recognizing when they are doing things well and making an event of that. And people go, oh, that's soft and that's just, no, it's not really. Everybody needs to feel positive and everybody needs to feel good about what they're doing in order to get the encouragement to keep on getting better. And I reckon Jordan really modeled that well. And I reckon in a workplace, you wouldn't be tolerated now.
Wouldn't be tolerated.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. And you said we're almost looking at it the wrong way around. You started off by saying the fact that we're looking and we're excusing the kind of the behavior or the way he was simply on the backs of, you know, well, he won and they succeeded. So it must have, you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
How should we be kind of looking at it in a modern sense? How should we be going, did he get the best out of his teammates? Did they actually do as well as they could have? Like, how are you viewing it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that becomes really important in discussion is temporary success versus ongoing success, right? So obviously Jordan had ability to produce both, which we have to really honor and respect them. There's no way we can go around that. But what we'll never know, and this is a hard part of the conversation, we'll never know what would have happened to that team if Jordan taken on a different approach. And would they still be in the dynasty? Would have they still been the team that they wanted to be in? And it's an interesting conversation because when we start with outcomes, so you think of a few things that are happening in New Zealand sports around reviews and sort of things, and I've been involved in a few of those. And unfortunately, some leaders in those communities will say, well, they won. They won. What's the problem here?
Yeah.
And well, what's the collateral damage of winning? So are we prepared to sacrifice people's well-being on the altar of winning? And I think that's the question. And, you know, and I'll put another thing to you, mate, which I think is important. What happens for an athlete when they figure out winning's not enough?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
You start gambling?
Winning isn't enough.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
You're always
and I think we get the
big
assumption winning solves all problems. Winning doesn't solve all problems. Winning gives you a temporary buzz of unbelievably proud and success, and you feel great about that. But then life moves on.
Yeah.
And
you're after your next high.
You're after
beauty. Getting deep. I love it. Love it.
That was some good shit.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
People couldn't hear me though. Sorry, I took a while to get off that screen. Isn't that amazing? We're looking at it wrong, folks, because you know that's not how you're supposed to look at it. You're not supposed to go result first and then go, oh, okay, yep, no, that's acceptable. What should be, mate, you could have. What we don't actually know how great that Bills team could have been if he had done the Derek Jeter styles and actually made his team better around him by being positive.
But people react to things. That's exactly right, because people react to things differently. And what he said was, being a leader, you got to know basically your team and how they're going to react. But there is going to be people that you can say certain things to, and that gets them up. And then there's going to be people that you can't spray, and you've got to do it a different way, like obviously Jeter did. So it was very interesting to hear him say that, actually, and about the winning and things like that. And yeah, I think it's a big thing, not just in New Zealand sport, but in all sport, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here with us, Blake, because you perhaps could look through your career and talk through a couple of people who led you, and give us some examples of whether you felt a difference in leadership when you were in teams. Yeah,
well, I'd start with the coaches, and from school, I had great coaches, and Tim Sheens was a person who, when I went to first grade, was just free-flowing. Just let me go out there and play my game like I was still having fun with my mates at school and on the weekend. It didn't put too much pressure on me. And then as you start to get through the years, obviously the game did get a bit more professional, but you see the things with different coaches and the things they nitpick and come at you at different ways. And it's just, then you go into your shell, because when you're in the game, you're thinking, if you make a mistake, oh shit, that's going to be in video tomorrow, so then you stop doing things because you're afraid of the outcome. Whereas I've had people like Tim Sheens would let you play, just play free. If it works, I can see what you're trying to do, then we're sweet. But if you're doing something stupid, obviously, no. But he just gave you that free reign to be yourself and have fun. And I could say after he left, there wasn't too many others that sort of instilled the confidence in me to go out and play that style of footy. That's why a lot of the time after he left, I was in my shell, and I wasn't probably the best player that I probably could have been, partly because of myself, but also because I didn't have that confidence.
Like, when guys are picking teams to go to, I mean, generally it's probably the best financial deal you can get, I would imagine, generally is what it is. Is there a case where you say to an agent, like, look, I know I play well under this kind of coach?
Well, I can't speak for anyone else. When I went to different teams, it wasn't that case. Right. I mean, when I did go to the Warriors, it was because Andrew McFadden rang me and spoke to me myself. And he said, look, mate, you come over, you work hard, and you might find yourself in the spot. And that sort of encouraged me to come over and test it. Whereas I'd had other opportunities like the Broncos and things like that, and I didn't get a call. So there might be players that work like that with coaches and know the coach and feel comfortable going to him. I can certainly say that I started my career, I played Benji Marshall, and I was real lucky because I got a lot of touches and a lot of free space because of the opportunities he created. And going to the Warriors was also because of Andrew McFadden, but Sean Johnson, who can do the same things. And that sort of enticed me to go. So there would be players out there that I think look at certain clubs and go, look, they have success because of the coach, because of the players, and that will suit me. And others, like you said, would go, oh, I'm just going for the money and things like that. Because players can be as good as they want to be. It's how hard they work, and everyone has different drive levels.
Cappy seems like he was such a good coach, like such a good man manager. I mean, that's just looking from the outside in. Like, he was the type of guy who, well, your story's proof of it, but the type of guy that actually understood players, almost like I'm not going to go as far as say Phil Jackson, but he had like a connection with the players, and I know that they were genuinely not annoyed but upset that he wasn't going to be around much longer. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, 100%. So the thing that you get with a lot of clubs and a lot of coaches is they don't be straight up with you.
Yeah.
So they might say, hey, look, you need to work on this. But then when you work on that, you're like, well, I'm doing all the things you asked me. How am I not in the team? And then he'll pick another reason. Whereas Cappy goes, mate, right, this is shit. So, for instance, I came to the club and I was overweight, and my skin folds are through the roof. And he goes, look, you've got 6 weeks till you start back here for preseason. I need you at this skin fold, this weight. Like, this shit isn't good enough. And be straight up with you. This isn't good enough. I'm like, okay, sweet. Worked my ass off, came back and hit the weight. And it's only because he gives you that, like, he just tells you straight how it is. There's no curve in the road with him. And I think when you do that, you get a lot of respect from the players because they know where they stand. And I think that's what he gave to us. And like you said, think a lot of the boys were upset when he left.
Did you ever play with an MJ attitude though? Anyone in the team that thought they were, give me the, hey guys, do we want to win this or not? Give me the damn ball. Come on, you know the rules. Was there anyone like that? But you don't have to name names. You don't have to name names because you're still too close to the game to be able to name names.
No. To be honest, I didn't. But the person who could have done it would have probably been Benji.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it. But he could have easily, or Robbie. We have Robbie on. They could have easily said, "Hey, come off me here, do this. I'll do this for you, and we're gonna win." Like they were that good that they could have done it, but they never did. So, but no one that I've played with, luckily enough, because that would have pissed me off.
Yeah, that's the thing though, because like you say, that doesn't work for everyone. Having someone like that in your workplace, they can be like, "Oh, just shut up, mate." You know.
I'm that in this. I am the MJ in this workplace. Except I'm not taking the winning shots. I'm not taking the winning shots. I'm just trying to force you into your shell. That's what. Do you guys? I mean, it's up to you guys and you guys listening too. Did you want to hear a snippet? When I say snippet, I actually can't remember how long it is. Of Lockie Ferguson. This is going to be the podcast that is released tomorrow with Aaron Walsh and his head noise. Do you want me to just give you a quick sample? It's a great story. I can't actually, I won't even be able to...
can you not find it?
I can. It's sitting right here, but I don't know how long it goes for, and I don't want to bore everyone. It's not boring, but like it seems weird to be playing out pre-recorded stuff. But let me just give you a quick snippet. It's had a little bit of an edit. Let's see what this is.
My dad was our coach, soccer and cricket. We kind of alternate between my brothers and my side. So he was certainly the coach growing up. And this is an interesting story, but he used to hand out a Moro bar to the player of the day. So every game in cricket, and I'll never forget it, he would hand out the Moro bar to the player of the day. And my dad was very good about it. He would always hand it out to the kid who'd had the best day comparatively to how they've been playing during the season, so that everyone kind of would get it if they had a good day, not just the best player. But of course, I was always trying to be the best player, and I never got the Moro bar. And so even now, ashamedly, if I've had a bad day, I do go and buy a Moro bar just to
and that's just to give yourself a bit of assurance.
Yeah, it's something that not a lot of people know, but it's kind of one of those things that because I didn't get it because Dad obviously couldn't give his son the Moro bar. I sort of go and buy, which is quite a funny thought, but yeah.
How good?
Yeah.
New Zealand cricket stuffed out in that contract, paying him in cash. They could have gone, "We've got a Gilmore's card. Here's a box of Moros." And you'd be like, "Yes, haha, sucker, we got you for nothing."
Oh mate, how good is that? He's gonna have some interesting people in there, Walshy, because he's a good chat.
Really good chat. Really good chat.
You'll get some stuff out of him.
Yeah, the lineup that he's going for as well is amazing. I know he's the people who he's shown me who he would like to talk to and work out what is running through their heads and get the inside oil on is pretty amazing. So really excited to have Walshy on board, and of course, like I say, we'll be releasing that podcast later on this evening / tomorrow morning. Very cool.
Yeah, far late.
Yeah,
well,
awesome.
That's probably us for May the 20th. Hey, just when we were talking before about the draft.
Yes.
So I was having a chat with Bees this afternoon. You know, mate, Bees was on the other week. And he was talking about NBA drafts, and he went, "Oh, man, those drafts used to be way too long." He goes, "Check out who the Bulls drafted in the 10th round in 1984. So in the first round, they drafted a fellow called Michael Jordan. Do you know who they drafted in the 10th round?
Who?
University of Houston track and field Olympic champion Carl Lewis."
Oh, shit.
No. They gave it a go. He'd never played basketball before, but they actually thought, shit, why don't we see if he wants to come? So in 1984, the 208th pick in the NBA draft, Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis. Lockman shit on the fast break.
Dallas Cowboys that year as well. He got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys too.
Oh, man.
What an embarrassment.
What an embarrassment of riches. An embarrassment of riches. All right, team. Aish, stay safe. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the weather updates. Thank you, everybody. We will be back tomorrow with more excitement. Ka kite anō.